What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bookmarked. I'm your hostess, Aries Joy. I am half of the DigiKast, and I'm very excited to discuss the next book, or the book that I have been reading, which is Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, a memoir by Matthew Perry. I actually read this book on my Kindle. I love my Kindle, it's so cute. That's my cover. But on my Kindle Paperwhite, I guess, from the Libby Library app. Now, I am a fan of books. I'm a very avid reader. If you couldn't tell, I'm so excited about all the books. But I love my Kindle, and I read a lot on my Kindle. And I also borrow books from the library, and I like to borrow ebooks from the library using the Libby app. So I've read a lot of books that way, and I just happened to borrow this book. Now, I can't so first of all, I'm just doing a small review I'm gonna discuss like how I felt about this book and how I felt reading it and everything. It's not my story to tell. It's a memoir, and it's not my story to tell, but I highly recommend reading this book. Even you don't have to be like an avid or even a fan of the show Friends. I will honestly say I have never seen one single solid episode of Friends from beginning to end. I know the premises of the show, I know who's in the show, I know the other actors and actresses in the show, I know a little bit about the show, but I have never seen one episode. I've heard a million episodes. I know a lot of people who are friends, I know a lot of people who are my friends who are fans of the show, but I can't say that I have watched it. I'm honestly not a sitcoms person. I'm more of a drama thriller person. But I have watched quite a few of Matthew Perry's movies, and I felt like he was a phenomenal comedic actor. So the reason why I decided to grab this book is because I do have a lot of channels that I love, and my favorite channel is NBC. And if you don't know, you probably already know, there is a documentary about Matthew Perry on Peacock that is available, and it came, it was advertised to me, and it's been in my favorites, on my list since it came out. And I was hesitant, but then one day I was like, you know what, let me read his memoir first, because I know I've seen it, on the shelves. I'm very interested to see what his life is about. I do like biographies and memoirs. So this book grabbed me from the beginning. Now, he does mention his addiction and alcoholism, and someone who has been through alcoholism, I can definitely resonate with what he has written in his memoir. And a couple of things that I'm going to just talk about quickly that grabbed me and made me be like, oh my goodness, I'm not alone, is his thoughts on how Matthew discusses how he realized that he was an alcoholic. And for an alcoholic, that is hard to do. You don't know that you're an alcoholic until you know that you're an alcoholic. And I mean that with no lightheartedness. It's just, it is. So he mentioned that, his father liked to come home and have a drink and then a couple more and then get up the next day and go to work like nothing was wrong. Like he hadn't, had a bunch of alcohol the night before. So Matthew was, he was like, well, I can do that too. I want to be able to do that. And that is exactly how I felt. It was like, I see like all of my, some of my friends just downing them and, I know, I've had coworkers who love wine just as much as I did, and they would drink bottles of it and be fine, and then go to work as if nothing was wrong. And so it's like, well, I can do that too. We have that mindset of like, well, I want to do that, I can do that, but we forget, and I quote, Matthew said this, that alcoholism way of thinking. And it's because we can't do that. It's the disease. We can't do that. We can't drink and drink because we can't just have one or two. We have to, and I'm not speaking on behalf of Matthew Perry at all. This is me talking, but he just mentioned this type of thing. We can't just have one or two. We can't. And so, no, we can't get up the next day and function and just jump up and go to work as if nothing even happened. And so that, he talks a little bit about that. And I have my notes here. He also talks about being at an event and there wasn't like a whole lot of alcohol. And he's like looking around, it's like, well, how can everybody be okay with not drinking or with just the minimum amount? Now, I have been in those shoes. I have been at an event, even my own events, where it's like, dang, I didn't order enough alcohol, or even at other people's events, and it's just like, how is there no alcohol? And I'm looking at everybody having a good old time, and I'm just too busy worried about how I'm going to get my next drink, that everyone around me having fun, and I'm sitting here just like, okay, when's this over? When's this over? When's my next drink? When's this next drink? And I mean, it just hit home. And just like, with any other meeting, AA meeting that I go to, or, he talks about the big book a little bit, the references the big book, the Alcohol Anonymous book. And it's like, we're not alone. We get so wowed that somebody else is also going through this and feels this way. It's amazing. And so I felt amazing and astonished. Again, even though I know this happens just from all the meetings that I've been to, even though I know, it's like, oh my goodness, somebody as famous like Matthew Perry is thinking the same thing that I am thinking, and quite possibly going through those same emotions that I have gone through. And it's just like, wow, just wow. So that really hit me hard, and I really appreciated reading his story, his memoir, and I'm so thankful that he wrote that, and that this book exists, because it was amazing. It was an amazing story, and I highly recommend it if I hadn't said that again. So clearly I rate this book a 5. Now, he does talk about other things, more positive things also. He discusses how he got into acting. He talks about his childhood and his family life, as a child, and then coming up as an adult. He talks about, like I said, his romantic relationships, his relationships with friends, his relationship with his coworkers on Friends and how close they were. And he talks about other movies and things that he's been in and everything. And it's very good. He talks about COVID and, the struggles, going through COVID. I mean, we all, unless you were not born, during COVID, unless you were, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but we've all been there, right? Through COVID. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you lived through COVID. And, you can comprehend and understand because you're not a baby, maybe. Anyways, whatever, I'm sorry. So, yeah, so he talks about COVID, and, he talks 90s and faxes instead of cell phones and things like that, and his relationships, how he had with, a certain well-known actress, and he had started through fax machines versus like a text message on the phone because there were no cell phones. So it's very entertaining. I guess if you could say what I didn't like about this book was probably learning about the addiction, because it's not, like I said, it's not my story to tell, but he went through quite a bit, and there were some whoa moments, and I was like, oof, so it's sad to hear about, the bad parts. And it's also sad, that he has passed, and reading this and knowing that he has passed was hard. Um, so it's not that I disliked that, it was just, hard. And so, again, this book was really good. Now, just because I don't watch Friends doesn't mean that I am not a fan. So I will just name some of my movies that I really liked. Obviously, Fools Rush In, starring Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek. Amazing movie, hilarious. Shout out Grey's Papaya. I love that movie, so wonderful. And Grey's Papaya, if you know, you know. Let's see, The Whole Nine Yards. The Whole Nine Yards with Bruce Willis, and The Whole 10 Yards, Patricia Arquette. Rosanna Arquette, I apologize. Now, I don't remember The Whole 10 Yards, but The Whole 9 Yards was really good. And he was in one episode of my all-time favorite show, Beverly Hills 90210, in the first season. He does appear in one show. And 17 Again, the movie 17 Again was really good. Three to Tango, The Kid, and Serving Sarah. Some of the good movies that, not good, in my opinion, some of the movies that I liked. So anyway, I appreciate you watching this video, and I appreciate your likes and your subscribes and everything and all of your support. If you have any suggestions or any comments or anything that you would like me to read, please let me know. You can leave a comment down below, or you can reach out to me via Instagram. I'm bookmarked SJ on Instagram. We are together, DigiKast, so we're on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram as the DigiKast. You can find us obviously here on YouTube, the DigiKast 1. We have a blog, TheDigiKast.substack.com. Check out our affiliates page, our Amazon affiliates page. And again, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. This is such a fun journey, and I just enjoy reading so much. So why not do something like this? Please, if you have any suggestions or anything like that, send them my way. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Love the world.